That's that fourth quarter pressure.
What's up, y'all? It's Westside Westy back here with Fourth Quarter Pressure. We have another young, talented artist in the building with us today. Now I'm going to let you introduce yourself. Go ahead and tell everyone your name and where you're from.
What's up, man? It's Hope from Pine Bluff, Arkansas, represent A-State.
A-State, yes sir. And Hope, tell us more about that name. How did that come about?
Oh, man, I used to be in the military. I was in the Army for about 4.5 years, and we had this program where you go in on the weekends to fight on the mat. Sometimes they set up a ring or a cage, and you could fight. And I was so strong, like for my size, that they started calling me Super Hulk. And actually, when I first got onto the scene back here in Arkansas with motorcycle clubs, they started calling me Superhero. And I was like, no, that's not going. Like, we got to do one or the other. You can call me Super, you can call me Hulk. If Super Hulk's too much, so they was like, all right, we're just gonna call you Hulk. So I mean, it's something that already stuck from my days fighting, like in the cage and on the mat. So Hulk is what it is.
Okay. Well, thank you for your service. We do appreciate that here.
Yeah, most definitely.
And Hope, it's a very fitting name. I like it. I like it.
Thank you.
Well, let's go ahead and tell us a little bit more about yourself and how it was coming up in your area, Pine Bluff.
Man, I grew up in an area called the Circle. Like it's around like Central Park area off 21st and Maple. It's like right outside on the other side of the circle. But you know, to be honest, man, I was like one of the only white kids in the whole neighborhood, and I just grew up like listening to Temptations, and my homies would like bring over like CDs and shit of like Zero, and even further into like Little White, you know, coming out of Memphis 10 with 3 6 Mafia and Project Pack, and so like all of these were like influencing me at an early age, and I mean we'd have it playing while we was hooping and anything really. So like Pine Bluff is like the culture and the space that like that's in my heart, man. That's my soul. That's where I'm from. You know, that's that heartbeat. So it's always been good to me, man. But with that comes a lot of struggle. You know, I mean, I grew up in the streets, bro, and that's just what it was. Like my dad, my pops was out there. I mean, out there, drugs and shit like that, man. So that was me too. You know, I grew up in that from an early age. You know, doing various illegal activities. So it kind of molds a certain mentality or mindset. But I was thankful enough to like try to emotionally navigate away from that and get an education, join the service and serve, and you know, try to be a productive member of society, man, and do my best to make sure everything stays kosher and like my family's taken care of, my kids are raised well, you know, provide for my family the best that I can, and you know, make my mark in this music industry.
Most certainly. Well, I'd have to say that's a man right there when you put your responsibilities first.
Gotcha.
Yes, sir. What made you want to become an artist?
I went to Pine Bluff schools, man. So like, even at like Southeast and Jack Roby and Pine Bluff High, like we would take like pencils or pens and just start like beating on the tables or on the bleachers, you know, and making our own beats and then like harmonizing, you know, vocally, and like began to freestyle. I guess when I was like 12, 13 years old, like just started freestyling, like coming off the dome, and, you know, stupid shit as a kid, but you know, making our own beats and stuff with the pencils. I mean, it was just kind of a thing that we did, and the older I got, like the more serious that I took it. You know, I joined the military, you know, like moved to Ohio for a little while. Man, my homie from up there, like had his own little like 8-track, all-in-one like studio thing. So like we started messing around with some beats, started developing like some of our own beats, and like getting into like that right there really developed me as an artist, and like made me approach it from like a serious aspect and say like, okay, well, like this is this and that's that. Okay, here's the kick and here's the snare. This is the melody around it. So you know, looking at it from a professional aspect, like you really begin to develop a different mindset of that. So it's been an unreal journey.
Man, well, we're glad to see where you've ended up throughout this journey.
Thank you.
And we're glad to have you here with us at Fourth Quarter Pressure today.
Appreciate it. I'm glad to be here.
Most certainly. And well, I guess we can kind of go back to being the only white person in your community. How was that?
I mean, it wasn't bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, I wasn't. Believe it or not, like, contrary to popular belief, man, Pine Bluff's not that bad. Like, no matter where you are or where you're at, like, people are still people, man. So if you're willing to meet a person at where they are, like, regardless of where they are in life, and respect them as a human being, man, they're gonna give you that same respect back. So as a kid, man, growing up out there, it was never like I didn't look at it different. Like I didn't even know per se that it was different, like in terms of like societal perceptions. Like that wasn't even like a thing to me until I got older, you know, and realized like, oh, these people don't like these people, or these people don't like these people, and racism and this and that. Like that was not the narrative, you know, for me as a kid. You know, like naturally I can look at my skin color and see that I'm different, but my heart's not different. You know, like the struggles that we went through together, like there's no difference.
It was
that.
The norm for you.
Right. You know, like hooping down the road at KJ's or John Jackson's, or, you know, wherever down at Central Park, or like playing on the swings with other kids, or going out to regional and doing this, doing that. It was no different to me, man. Like I've never looked at it differently, and I won't.
And that's one thing I believe as well, is that we shouldn't even look at it that way, because that's where we get these problems in the world today.
Well, not to say that it isn't a real issue, because it is a real issue.
It
you know, and I value that, but at the same time, I'm intelligent enough to understand that I will never, no matter how hard I try, no matter how much I want to empathize or even sympathize with, you know, individual situations or circumstances, I can never understand it. You know, that's not for me to understand. All I can do is, you know, like say, here's my hands, you know, what do you need from me? Like what can we do to make this situation better? Like whatever you want to talk about. If you need a shoulder, you know what I'm saying? If you need a hand up, you know what I'm saying? Just let me know. Like I can meet you there. But as far as like understanding racism or how it's impacted black communities across the world, that's not something that I really feel like I can speak on, because I'm not black and I'll never be able to understand it from their viewpoint.
Agreed. So we don't dig any too deeper on that.
Yeah.
Has there been any artists that have been influential to you that may be local from your area or even mainstream? And if so, how?
Several, man. Like Lil Boosie, you know, growing up, like I saw Lil Boosie, Lil White, like I said, Zero. Local artists, man, like Clown Six, like he used to rap with 870 Underground. Like he's been a really big help, really big influence on what I do and like my growth as an artist. But I'd like to think that every artist that I know about, or every artist that I come into contact with, has some type of influence on who I am, not only as an artist but as a person as well, because like that's the type of thing that's displayed in music and artistry, is like your character, who you are, what you do, what you like, what you sound like. So me personally, every artist I've ever heard in my life across all genres has influenced who I am as an artist.
They leave a print on you each time. No matter what genre, it's going to leave something.
Right. This music is my life, and I have a deep appreciation for all of it. Music, sounds.
I love that. Speaking of other artists now, who would you say is your top 5, dead or alive?
Man, that's hard. Twista.
Is this going to be in any certain order, or is this just going to be your top 5?
No, just like kind of top 5, like off the dome, man. Like Twista, Lil Wayne, Lil White. Let's see, Paul Wall. I gotta mention Paul Wall. And one that like I've really been inspired by to like be myself. And this is like, he's like a newer artist, man, but he's like really inspired me to like open up about who I really am and not be afraid to like take my path wherever it leads me. And that's Toby Nwigwe. Like, I love Toby Nwigwe. He's done a lot to inspire me as an artist.
He really hits with
Yeah, he
his
does.
content. It is beautiful.
He's on a different level, man, and that's because he's not afraid to be himself. He's not afraid to speak about what he is, who he is, where he's been, and the development and growth that he's experienced and steadily experiencing, you know? And he's real about it. Like, his family and his woman, like, that is his life, and that's what he wants, so he's real about that.
Yes.
And I think that, you know, that's another reason that I titled my next album, Let's Be Real. It's dropping the 24th of this month, so March 24th, 2022. Let's be real, because that's what I feel like a lot of artists need to do, man. Like, get away from talking about, you know, all the dumbass things that are irrelevant to what actually living life is about, man. Like, I strive to be a true artist, man. So I'm talking about real issues. I'm talking about mental health, you know. I'm talking about situations that you go through with your women or your partner, you know. If you're a man with a woman or a woman with a man or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, woman with woman, man with man. Like, these are all, like, relevant topics that need to be addressed and spoke on and, like talked about, man. It's just real life. And I feel like the music industry is gravitating more towards being a realist, you know? Like, let's not talk about what I want. Let's talk about what I got. Let's talk about what I got is doing for me. Let's talk about what I'm using or what I'm doing with what I do have to get where I want to be. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to talk about something that I haven't even experienced yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was having a talk with Cambino, and he said that he can't really talk about, like, driving around in Lambos and shit because that's not relevant to his current situation. You know, that's what being a real artist these days is about, man. Like, you want to be relevant to your current situation and speak from that place.
Okay, got you. And everyone remember that, March 24th, Let's Be Real.
Yep, Let's Be Real, March 24th.
And where can people tune in to?
All platforms.
All platforms.
It's everywhere.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. Well, we'll be waiting for that as well. Back to you as an artist now. What do you feel differentiates you from others? Like, for instance, what's something that makes your music stand out, or something that differentiates just you as an individual?
Number one, just speaking like from a place of existing and being alive, all the sets of variables that it took just to create me as a person will, like, never be recreated. So, like, from an individual standpoint, there's nothing that anybody else can do that's like me. Now, I'm not out to emulate anybody or any other artist, so I might take pieces, but the way that I'm going to deliver that is still, you know, coming from a place of subjectivity. So, like, I guess just being myself, you know, doing things the way that I want to, and letting my emotions pour out of me, like the way that they do, and keeping it raw, keeping it real.
That's real right there. All right. And it seems that that's where a lot more passion comes from as well.
Definitely.
I can see it in you right now.
I get a little intense.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. Hey, we all have to be stern sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you tell us about your creative process and how that works? Give us the exclusive breakdown.
There's no real formula. I don't really believe in, like, containing a creative process to, like, one formula. It could happen anyway. You know, I could hear something on the radio or drive down the road and just have random thoughts pop into my head, and all of a sudden, you know, there's a song formulating there. Or I could get in, like, a new beat pack or something like that, and I'm going through it, and, like, the melodies. I think that producers pour their soul, like good producers. I'm not going to say that every producer does this, because, you know, I appreciate all art as art, but some producers pour their entire being into what they're producing. And those make the best songs, in my opinion, because you can literally feel and hear their soul in, you know, this beat or song that they produced. And a lot of times it speaks to me. Like, if you hear a song or a beat that's been produced that, like, you could feel the pain in it, then it's probably going to draw out some type of pain that you've been through in your life. And and like give you an outlet or be able to channel that pain into that, you know. And there's just so many different ways. You never know how it's going to hit. And I would advise everybody, man, just to be open. Like don't force creativity, let it flow.
Authenticity resonates with people a lot better.
Hmm.
It typically does in the traditional sense.
I agree.
And when you hear something just pop up in your head like that, do you just have to get to a pen and pad, like your phone, and get it down as soon as possible, or are you able to retain that?
It depends, you know, because sometimes it's a lot. So if it's like a lot, then sometimes I'll write it down. But a lot of times I'll develop an idea in my head, and then when I get to the studio, you know, I'll just start laying it down and like tracking it and figuring out which parts I like. Sometimes I'll take stuff out, sometimes I add stuff to it, and then sometimes I write out full songs. You know, there's no, like I said, real like one set method. It's just however it hits you. You know, I live in the real world, man. Nothing ever goes the way that you plan it to, so why plan it?
That's what's up. Staying in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's talk more about you and your label or your brand. What does that stand for? Do you have any affiliates you would like to talk to or talk about? I mean,
Well, I'm branded as an artist myself, Hulk. A lot of people refer to me as God Hulk because that's the way I set up my various channels like YouTube, TikTok, IG. You find me on there as God Hulk 2021. Outside of that, I run my own label with an LLC, the Lindsay Drive Records. I have my own studio, working on developing a production team, being able to get it to where we can get into a building and basically be like a one-stop shop. Come in, like be able to produce something from scratch, or you know, have a catalog to choose from, be able to record, mix and master right there on the spot, and have somebody that's willing to shoot music videos or whatever, and you know, make all of this economical. So you know, we're all trying to come up, we're all trying to do this, and I think the more feasible you make an avenue for somebody to take, the more people that are going to be trying to take it. And like I believe that these are the ways that you build your city up. Like I understand that in this industry, it's a lot about money, or you know, monetary value, financial gain, et cetera, but you know, looking at that through the scope of those eyes, like what are we doing for the people that's around us? Like why are people really gonna fuck with you, like if you're on that? You know what I mean? I know so many more artists and people that won't fuck with people just because of that. You know, and I don't strive to be that type of person, man. Like if I think that someone's got the heart for it or the talent for it, I'm gonna be like, look, man, come on, you know, to the studio, let's get you 5 tracks whipped up. You know what I'm saying? Like what are you gonna charge me? Nothing, man. Like if I gotta come scoop you up, pay for my gas. You know what I'm saying? Like my music is my life. So that's what I do. If somebody needs something like that, or doesn't have a way necessarily to do it for themselves, and they got kids to take care of, a family to feed, man, gas is $4 a gallon. You know what I'm saying? Like it's hard out here, man. In Arkansas in general, it's hard. And Pine Bluff, it's hard, man. Like there's no money. It's a low market. Like I mean, we are literally labeled as one of the most poverty-ridden states. So if it's something that I can do for somebody else, I'm gonna do it.
And that's what we need to do as a collective, is just make it easier for us all to strive, because it, like you said, $4 a gallon, that's insane right now. It's putting a lot of pressure on the world.
It is.
Yes, sir. Does your label have any big plans for this year and what's coming?
I've got Let's Be Real. We already discussed once, being dropped 3/24/2022. I've got a Red Hulk project with Red the artist, another artist out of Pine Bluff that's going to be releasing soon. Doing several mixtapes for other artists, you know, and I don't want to put their names out there, like it'll come around when it comes around, but there's at least 7 different projects in the works right now that are just going to be banging out all year. And and hopefully the year after that and the year after that, I want to see like this as a continuous thing and continuous growth for places like Pine Bluff and Little Rock and Arkansas in general.
I agree, most certainly, and we'll be waiting for those big projects to be coming too. We'll hope to see them soon. How do you feel about the Arkansas music scene right now? Is it going in the right direction, or is there still some kinks that need to be addressed?
I mean, I think it's at a pivotal point right now. Like, Arkansas has a bad habit of artists like hating on each other, everybody trying to get over the next artist, and there are some pretty influential people like Spider and like Crazy A, JP the Rockstar, CTG, you know, people like that that are preaching like, let's support one another, let's knock one another down. You know, let's be there for one another, let's come together, let's band together and make this state great. But then you've got, you know, everyday regular people that aren't really that supportive, you know what I mean, or don't really see the movement. And a lot of it is that a lot of these people aren't tapped into the local music industry. You know, a lot of people out there in Arkansas are not tapped into what's going on musically with Arkansas, so they have no way to know. I think it's going to take, you know, someone or a group of people like really pushing Arkansas music onto all different platforms and making people aware that it even exists in order for it to like generate enough momentum to actually see some things come to fruition. Like, see these artists blow up, see these artists go somewhere, you know. And there's so much mad talent in Arkansas right now, it's ridiculous. It's just about giving them artists like the platforms and an audience that they need to be seen or be heard.
Most certainly, and that's one thing here at Fourth Quarter Pressure we're trying ourselves to do, because we know that the recognition is not where it needs to be.
And I salute you guys for everything that you're doing.
And we appreciate you coming today. It was beautiful having you. Was there anything else that you would have to say to the fans or anyone else watching here today?
I mean, just keep being yourself, be real, tap in with local artists, tap in with artists around you. I mean, don't just say you do, like, go listen to their stuff. Like, you'll be so amazed at what you hear, at what you see, at what these artists are doing, what they're capable of, just because they're not a billion-dollar artist streaming on all platforms, flying around the world in their fancy jets, doesn't mean that their music isn't just as fucking hard as those other artists. So, I mean, just tap in with local artists, like, see what it's about. And don't stop at one, like that one artist, like, represents the entire state. Like, tap in with a bunch of them, like go to, like different pages, like Fourth Quarter or Buzz TV or CTG. Find these artists on Instagram, like, tap in with the local music scene and fuck with us.
Yes, sir. Check out Arkansas Media Outlet as well.
Arkansas Media Outlet, yeah.
They've
been
been doing great support as well for the artists out here. And it was Guy Hope 2021 on all the pages.
GODHULK 2021.
Oh, God Hope.
Yeah, God Hope 2021.
All right, glad I got that correction there, so the people can tap in and follow you.
Yeah, on all platforms. Personally, I distribute all my music through DistroKid, so in every platform that they distribute music to, like Tidal, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, TikTok, etc., it's on all of those.
So you'll be seen for sure. It's out there.
Yep.
Well, I'd love to hear that, and we had a great conversation today. We hope to be seeing you soon, and we're waiting on that content.
Oh, definitely. Thank you. It's coming.
Yes, sir. Well, you have a great day. This is Fourth Quarter Pressure. Hope.
Yep.
And we're out.
Peace.